Good afternoon, everyone. And I will be uploading, first of all, the video that I have recorded for my previous lecture today on the definition of functions, and then domain, range, and then composition of functions. But this topic can be taught independently of those, and simply because you already have knowledge of functions in secondary school. Now, that's what I will be doing always for the rest of the semester. I will be teaching a different topic, the next topic in my next Math 21 session. So if I teach you this topic for this session, my next class, okay, which will be a different section, of course, will be taught the next topic, okay? And for you not to be lost, I mean, for you to be able to understand the session or the synchronous session that we will be having, it's better if you already view or study the previous lecture for my other section. Okay. And for today, we will have piecewise functions. Now, by the way, before I forget, your quiz results were very good. The averages for my three sections were 35, 37, and the highest was 37.8. I'm not sure kung kayo yon. But anyway, all of those are good average scores. You will get the results online of your quiz by Thursday, tomorrow. Your advisory grade on Friday. For your advisory grade, by the way, I only included the quiz result. Okay, the quiz, not the assignment, because I haven't checked the assignment yet. Okay, so now let's proceed to examples of functions. So supposing you already know the meaning of functions, well, really it's just an equation relating x and y, like y equals x squared. That's an example of a function. And for it to be a function, it must satisfy the vertical line test, meaning its graph must be intersected by any vertical line in at most one point. So assuming that, let's discuss the several kinds or examples of functions together with their graphs. Let's start with the most basic types of functions: constant, linear, and quadratic. So for a constant function, from the word itself, it means a function whose value is a constant. And it is of the following form. F of x is equal to k, where k is a real number, a constant real number. In other words, no matter what we place for x, no matter what the value of x is, the value of y will always be k. So that's the constant function. And its domain, which is defined to be the set of all permissible values of x, okay? Meaning those x which can be put into the function so that it will have a defined or a real value. So since this is constant anyway, then we can place any x value and it will always have a y value of k. So the domain is all real numbers. So what does this mean? For example, if x is 1, the value of f of 1 is k. If x is 0, f of 0 is k, f of negative 1 is k, f of any real number is k. And what is the range? The range is just the set of all y values. So you collect all y values, you have the range. And since there is only one value for y, it's a constant value, so the range would consist only of k, the real number k. Its graph is a horizontal line, since the y value will always be k. So that would be a horizontal line. If it's a vertical line, it's the x value that will be fixed. If it's a horizontal line, it's the y value that is fixed. And since f of x is equal to k, that horizontal line intersects the y-axis at k. But we won't have really much application on constant functions. However, when we go to piecewise functions, some of the parts there in the domain of a piecewise function may be a constant function, as we shall see later. Next is the linear function, which you already know. A function of the form f of x equals mx plus b, where m and b are real numbers. So m and b are constants. And take note of the condition that m should be not non-zero. Why? If m is 0, what happens to this part? It becomes 0. So it becomes f of x equals a constant, and it becomes a constant function. And technically, by defining it this way, a constant function is not a linear function, okay? Because it has no slope, it has no inclination, it's flat. Its value is fixed. So just remember that technically a constant function, though the graph is still a line, is not a linear function. For it to be linear, it has to have a non-zero value for m, so that you will have different values for y. So what is the domain of a linear function? All permissible values of x. So you can plug in any value of x, it will be defined. Since no square root is involved, no dividing by 0, so it will always be defined. In other words, the domain is R, set of all real numbers. The range is also R. Why is that? Since it has a slope, a non-zero slope, that means the line is no longer horizontal, it will be slanted. And if it's slanted, no matter how small its inclination is, it will always extend in both directions, in the negative and y directions, and in the positive and negative, of course, x directions, and then also the y directions. So that means it will include all y values eventually, from negative infinity to infinity. So the range is R. Right? When you draw a slanted line, it will extend in both directions of the y-axis as well as the x-axis. So its graph, obviously, we already know that the graph of this one is a line whose slope is m. Remember, y equals mx plus b, slope intercept form. So y intercept b, slope m. It's just a line. So we go to quadratic functions. And it's of the form ax squared plus bx plus c, where again a, b, and c are constant numbers, real numbers, with the leading coefficient a there non-zero, as with linear functions. For if a is 0, what would happen to this? This will disappear, and it will be either a linear function, or if b is even 0 again, it will be a constant function. So it's quadratic if a is non-zero. What's the graph? You know it already from secondary school. Parabola, of course, parabola, but since it's a parabola, it has a high or a low point, a highest or a lowest point, and we call that the vertex. And without deriving the vertex formula, we have the vertex hk at this set of coordinates. Negative b over 2a, 4ac minus b squared over 4a. Now, it's better if you have that memorized. What is the domain? Well, again, any value of x will do. I mean, you won't get an undefined value for f. Whatever x value you put, f will always be defined since it's a polynomial anyway. No square roots involved, no division by 0. Now, how about the range? Now, for the range, you need the vertex since the vertex is either the highest or the lowest point. Now, if you look at the leading coefficient A, you already know from high school that if A is positive, it will open upwards, the parabola. If A is negative, it will open downwards. So if A is negative, it opens downwards, your vertex HK will be the highest point. So the highest Y value will be the Y value of the vertex, the K. So it will range from negative infinity to K if A is less than 0. Similarly, if A is positive, it will open upwards. So K will be the lowest point, HK. So the lowest value of Y is the Y coordinate of the vertex, which is K. So it will range from K to positive infinity. Let's illustrate that. Now, I've taught how to sketch parabolas in the previous module, but for this one, we don't need any of those. All you need to draw a parabola is the vertex and, of course, also the x-intercepts. Since from now on, we will be dealing with functions, so the graphs will be parabolas for quadratic, okay? Parabolas that open either upwards or downwards. So let's consider this quadratic function. F of x equals x squared minus x minus 2. Let's find the zeros first. I have defined zeros, by the way, in the previous lecture, and it's simply found. They are simply found by equating this function to 0. So equating that to 0, we will have to find the zeros either by factoring this out or using the quadratic formula, which you should already know, negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Actually, the zeros are exact, so you could have just factored out this one as x plus 1 times x minus 2, which will produce the same set of zeros. Next, once you have the zeros, which are actually the x-intercepts, by the way, the zeros of the function graphically are the x-intercepts. So once you have the zeros, next, you find the vertex. And I have given the vertex formula, negative b. By the way, in case you still are confused, a, b, c would be the coefficients of x squared, x, and the constant. So a is 1, b is negative 1, c is negative 2. So plugging into the vertex formula, negative b, okay, over 2a. And then same thing, 4ac minus b squared over 4a. Then you have the coordinates. Just simplify using your calculator. So you'll have the vertex at 1/2 negative 9 over 4. And that's the graph. And to get that, plot the x-intercepts, the zeros, namely negative 1 again and 2. And then the vertex at 1/2 negative 9 over 4. And just connect those points using a parabolic curve that opens upward. Is there any question how I got the graph of that function? So let's proceed to stating the domain and range. Domain, as usual, is always R. Okay, no problem with the domain. But the range, you have to know whether it opens up or down. So it opens up, and that means the lowest point would be the vertex, whose, by the way, K value is -9/4. We go back. Okay, this is the lowest point. So that means the Y value here is the lowest possible value for the function. So the range is -9/4 to +infinity. You'll only get that once you know where the vertex is and also if the parabola opens up or down. Are there any questions before I proceed? Just unmute your mic. I am not able to read the chat box for now. Okay, let's proceed. Let's go to piecewise functions. And by the term itself, it means functions that cannot be defined using just one equation. So you will have a set of equations to define the function. And so you will have to define it piece by piece. So sometimes it's called a split function. So let's just have several illustrations of piecewise functions. I have an example here, what we call in mathematics the sinum or the signum function. Okay. Now the signum function, from the word itself, sine. Okay, its root word is sine. Tells us something about the sign, okay, of a real number. And it's defined as follows. So its value is -1 if, okay, f of x is equal to -1 if x is negative. So no matter what the value of x is, as long as it's negative, its y value or the value of f is always -1. Now, if x is exactly 0, the value of the signum function is 0. If x is positive, the value of the signum function is 1. So in a way, this tells us the sign of the real number. If the value of the signum function is -1, we know that the number is negative. If the value of the signum function is +1, we know that the real number is positive. If the value of the signum function is 0, we know that the value is 0. 0 is neither positive nor negative. And hence the name, the signum or the sinum function. Its graph is there. Notice that for negative values, okay, the upper branch, the values of f or y will always be -1. -1, -1, -1. So for example, if I ask you, what's the value of f of -1? Say somewhere here, it's -1. What is the value of f of -2? -1. As long as x is less than 0. F of -10 is -1. F of -pi is -1. Now for positive values, the y value is always +1. So f of 1 is 1, f of 2 is 1, f of 3 is 1, so on. So the graph will be horizontal, a horizontal line intersecting supposedly the y-axis at 1, but with a hole there, since these are strict inequalities. So similarly for this one, horizontal line passing through, okay, well, there's a hole there. So supposedly, if it passes, then it intersects the y-axis at -1. Now, we do not include the part here since this only holds for negative values. Similarly, for this one, we do not include the part of the horizontal line here since it only holds for positive values. So we cut the horizontal line, the lines. And then, how about for this? If x is 0, the value of y is 0, so it's just the point 0, 0. So it's the origin here. So that is the graph of the signum function. So can you state the domain and range? Anyone? Obviously, what's the domain? All reals. Okay, not much of a problem with the domain. But how about the range based on the graph? or even based on the definition here. You see that? How many values does the function take? Only 3, finite number of values. -1, 0, 1, so that would be the range. You can't read it there. So the domain is R and the range is -1, 0, 1. So use set notation. Next, consider this function here. It's a piecewise defined function again. So f of x is defined to be x squared if the x value is less than or equal to 1. It's defined to be equal to 3 if the x value is greater than 1, less than or equal to 2, and equal to x if x is greater than 2. So we have split the function into 3 subdomains. And the subdomains divide the real number into 3 parts. Depending on where x is, you have the corresponding formula for f of x. So if I ask you first, what is f of 0? Anyone? Okay, sige, natin siya. Okay, what is f of 0? Why is it 0, Mr. or what's this? TJ and or anyone who answered 0. Okay, you said x is less than or equal to 1. So since 0 is in this subdomain, you will use this formula, not all of the formulas, because some students plug in 0 everywhere in all of the parts or subdomains. You only plug in 0 here. Why? Because this is where 0 is, less than or equal to 1. So 0 squared. Now what is f of 2? Chat box. Let's see. Somebody answered 3. Okay, 3. Okay, 3. Yes, it is. Why? Since 2 is not here, this is a strict inequality. So 2 is here, less than or equal to 2. So you apply this, which is a constant value. So it's 3. What is f of pi, which is 3.14 approximately? F of pi. Let's see. Okay, pi. Since f of x is x, when x is greater than 2, pi is greater than 2. So f of pi is pi. How about f of 1? Okay, f of 1 is 1, since it's still here, less than or equal to, so 1 squared. What's f of 3 halves? 3 over 2. F of 3 over 2. 3 halves. Okay, 3. Since 3 halves is 1.5, so it's between 1 and 2. So 3. Okay, so you do not substitute into all the formulas. Next, the graph. How did I arrive at the graph? Well, we know the 3 functions here are quadratic, constant, linear. Okay? Again, x squared is a quadratic function whose graph is a parabola with vertex at the origin opening upwards. The whole parabola is not drawn. We cut this part. Why? Since this applies only for less than or equal to 1, so we only include this part of the parabola. Okay? Including that endpoint there, since we have less than or equal to 1. So we use a solid dot or circle there. And then this one is the constant function. Remember, the graph of a constant function is a horizontal line. and its value is 3. So we have it at 3 there. But we restrict the whole horizontal line from 1 to 2, excluding 1, including 2. So excluding 1, including 2, open circle here or hollow, and then solid circle here. And then what is the graph of f of x equals x? Anyone? It's linear, but how does it look like? Y equals x. Where does it pass? Through the origin, right? Making 45-degree angle or angles with the axis, both x and y axis. So it's this line here whose coordinates are, whose points are 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, and -1, -1, -2, -2, makes 45 degrees. But we cut that whole line, restrict it to x greater than 2, so we have a hollow circle at 2, and we have it there. And that's the graph of the split function. Any question on the graph? Then domain and range. Obviously, the domain is R. Unless, of course, we remove the equal sign here, it would have excluded 1 in the domain. So make sure all the real numbers are in the sub-definitions or subdomains. And then the thing to find now only is the range. Why is it from 0 to infinity, including 0? You just look at the y values. No portion of the graph lies below the x-axis or y equals 0. So all y values will range from 0, the lowest y value based on the graph, up to infinity, since the parabola and the line both extend in the positive y direction. So 0, including 0, to positive infinity. So you do have to find the range using the graph for piecewise defined functions. Okay, next. Consider that function there, piecewise defined again. It's square root of 1 minus x squared, x between -1, to 1. Make this positive 1. -1 to 1, including -1, excluding 1. And it is equal to 2x minus 2 if x is greater than or equal to 1. So the domain is all real numbers. Let's look at the graph. Before we do so, let's consider this part of the definition. What does its graph look like? Let's, okay, I already mentioned it here. It's the upper branch of the unit circle centered at the origin. How did I get that? First, let me set that equal to y, since y is f of x. If I manipulate this equation, here is what I will have. Squaring, transposing. What's that? Equation of A. We've studied that in conic sections. Circle. Yes. Where is its center? X minus 0 squared, y minus 0 squared. So its center, yes, is at the origin, 0, 0. Its radius obviously is r squared equals 1, so r is 1. So we call that the unit circle since its radius is 1. Centered at the origin. However, it's not the whole circle since it's only the positive part. Okay, notice if I reverse the steps, if I go from this line up or back to this line, if I transpose x squared to solve, I'll be solving for y kasi dito. If I transpose x squared, I get this line. Now, if I solve for y back to this one, I should include not only the positive root, but the negative root. So that means we only took the positive root, which is the upper part of the unit circle. So with this being aligned, okay, we have the graph as follows. There. So this is the unit circle with the upper branch only. That's x squared plus y squared equals 1. However, you should put a hollow circle here, since if you look back at the definition, you do not include 1. However, the two will connect. If you consider this part and plug in the value at x equals 1, you will see that the circle, which is hollow at this point, and the line, which is solid at this point, will meet. So the graph is connected, really. And this is the line 2x minus 2 extended in the positive x direction, since it's for all x values greater than or equal to 1. Now, if you want to sketch the line, all you need are 2 points, right? 2 points determine a unique line. So you can start with x equals 1, and then plug in y, plug in x, then get y, plug in x equals 2, get y, then connect the 2 points. Then, of course, limit the line to x greater than or equal to 1. And verify that you will be having this as the graph of our piecewise defined function. Who has a question, class? Before our, before our last example. So domain is -1 to infinity. Oh, why did I put -1 to infinity? Yes, sorry. Why is the domain different now? Notice that in our definition of the function, we did not include in our definition values less than -1. Did you observe that a while ago? I did not notice it, although I'm the one who created this one. But anyway, notice that x values will only range from -1 to positive infinity. So the domain is not the set of all real numbers, but -1 to infinity. And then the range based on the graph, since these are solid points, parts of the graph. So we have 0 way up to positive infinity, although this has not been extended in the graph, in the picture there. I think there somebody has a question. Let me see. Okay. So yung domain okay na sana, no? Range. So last word problem on piecewise defined functions. I was told that for piecewise functions, optimization will not be included, but what do you call this? Modeling a problem using a piecewise defined function will be included. So it's not the modeling, okay? Meaning you have a problem, you construct a function that models or that gives us the quantity that is being asked in the problem. So let's read the word problem here. Okay, let me read it. Your favorite dog groomer charges according to your dog's weight. Your dog is 15 pounds. If your dog is 15 pounds and under, fixed charge of $35. Your dog is between 15 and 40 pounds, $40. Okay? So that means this one is including 15 pounds and under, but this one does exclude 15, okay, and 40. Okay? If your dog, so this one would include 40 based on the construction of the paragraph. If your dog is over 40 pounds, she charges $40 plus an additional $2 for each pound in excess of 40. Okay? So if it's less than 15 pounds, including 15 pounds, price is 35. Greater than 15, less than or equal to 40 pounds, price is 40. More than that, additional $2 for each pound in excess. Write a piecewise function that describes what your dog groomer charges and also graph the function. First, we split up all those sentences into a piecewise function depending on the weight of your dog. So denote that by X, the weight, of course, in pounds. Now, if your dog's weight is less than or equal to 15, as stated in this sentence, charge is 35. If X is greater than 15, so if it's even 15.01, it becomes 40, okay? So less than or equal to 40, including the 40, as long as it does not exceed 40, price is fixed at $40. Now, the real problem here is constructing the formula for greater than 40 pounds. What does she charge? On top of the 40 from the previous one, $2 each pound in excess of 40. So first, let's determine the excess weight. If X is the weight, then the excess weight is X minus 40 from 40 or over 40. If X is over 40, by the way. So this is the excess from 40. And then $2 for each excess weight, for each pound of excess weight. So we will have 2 times quantity X minus 40. Okay? And then, how do we get the total charge? So the total charge would be $40 plus the additional, the excess charge, which is this one. So we have this 40 plus 2 times quantity X minus 40, which again is the excess weight. And if simplified, we have this is negative 80 plus 40, so 2X minus 40 for X greater than 40. By the way, this does not apply for all X values, for X greater than 40 only. So now we are ready to set up the split function. There it is. I simply combined all of them into one line or say paragraph here. F of X equals 35 if between 0 and 15, including 15. Greater than 0, why? No dog has 0 weight, technically, okay? F of X equals 40 if between 15 and 40, including 40. And what we got a while ago, for greater than 40, it's 2X minus 40. So that's the model function. And the graph is there. Self-explanatory, the first two are constant functions, so 35 and then 40. Of course, you have to consider the appropriate intervals. 0 to, hindi nababasa, 0 to 35. And then you have to use hollow since 0 is excluded. And then solid since 15 is included. And then this is 40 extending from 35 to 40. Okay? Hollow at 15. Solid at 40. And then this is the graph of the line, 2X minus 40. Just use point-by-point plotting to get this one. 2 or 3 points are enough. So let's state the domain and range lastly. I did not put it here. So what's the domain? Is it all real numbers? Obviously no. Based on the nature of the problem, weight is non-negative or actually positive. So what's the domain? Set of all positive real numbers. And how about the range? So guys, send your answers in the chat box. Look at the graph, look at the Y values. Based on the definition, we have two values already here, plus all the values that are included by this one. So notice that from 40, it will extend all the way up to positive infinity, including 40. Okay, we have an answer here. Okay, so including 35, yes, closed, semi-closed interval. 40 is part, okay? So 40, closed at 40, up to positive infinity. And then union, the set containing, this is just one number really, 35. Now, does anybody have a question? Otherwise, we'll end the session. So deadline of the assignment is 11:59 p.m. tonight. So that's it for today. See you on Friday.